Any other questions? Yeah. Oh, that's tough. It's hard to, I mean, because both of them allow me to be creative, you know, which is what I really enjoy. But I think if I don't know, you know. Okay, if it didn't, like the music industry, I can't stand. You know, it's if you listen to the radio, you're listening to what they want you to listen to. You know, you don't have a choice. And I think there's a lot of good music, and I'm not just saying that because of my band, but I just think there's a ton of great music out there that people just are never going to hear because that band is not going to be able to make it because they don't have anybody supporting them. But so I do think if I had a choice, I probably would pick the music because it's 100% from me. You know what I mean? I mean, obviously I have a band that adds to the music and whatnot, but it's like my project, you know. Whereas like any of the anime, even like Bleach or something like that, I got to play the role and do my version of the character, but it was already a creation from someone else. You know what I mean? Like some dude wrote it and made it, and then I got to be a part of that. The band is like I made it, and you know. So it's more rewarding for me. For instance, if I go out and I start singing a song at a concert and people are singing those lyrics back to me, those are my words, you know? And so I have an instant connection with those people, you know? Whereas if I say Bankai, I know it because I've been saying it like a ton of times. And people are like, yeah, or whatever, because they know and they can relate to it. But and I'll have a connection, but it's not going to be the same connection as if I made up a word like Zankai, you know? And everybody started saying it. Oh, well, now you're changing the question. Now I have a choice to do both instead of one or the other. Then both. I mean, that's what I'm doing right now, is like both, you know? And so, yeah. You didn't like my answer, I guess. You wanted me to say, I'll stay in anime forever. Because it's warm and cozy.
Sure it is.
Well, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't sacrifice the music, I don't think, ever. But I have many times sacrificed roles because of various different reasons. You know, you go into a project, you start working on it, and then you're like, this doesn't feel like I'm right for this part, you know, and so you know, there's that, you know. Whereas if I made it up, it's like, well, no, I know I'm right for the part because I made it, you know. I don't know if that makes sense, but I hope it does. I'm not trying to crap on any of the stuff that I've done. Just saying. Thanks for the question. Funny behind the scenes while voice acting or something? Okay, excuse me. Let's see. Oh, okay, I can tell you this story. Who are you guys familiar with Wolf's Rain? Any of you? Wolf's Rain?
Yeah.
About 10 of you? 4. It's going down. 3. All right, so it's a great show. If you haven't seen it, it's really good, and the music is amazing. And it's not just because I'm in it; it's just a really cool show. Anyways, I got booked for this role. I was playing Kiba in that show, and it's I think it was like maybe the second or it was like maybe the third project that I'd ever worked on, you know, voiceover wise. So I always try to show up early, you know, and like we don't get the scripts ahead of time at home very often. Occasionally they would send me some stuff if I asked for it, but a lot of times even then I would still try to get in early so I can go through the script and figure out where I'm coming from, just kind of get a head start because I was still kind of new to voiceover. This one day I was running late, and so I didn't eat breakfast. I skipped breakfast and I went straight to work. And as I got there, I started working And after a while, I noticed my stomach was like getting the sensation of like it's gonna start growling, you know? And you guys know, like when you're in school, right? And it's like quiz time, and your stomach is about to growl, and you know, oh my gosh, people are gonna think something weird is happening, and so you start. You start like shuffling papers and kicking the desk next to you, sorry, fidgety, right? And you just try to make noise to cover it up so your stomach can go, right, over your tapping. Anyways, you can't really do that in the booth, even though I try to like shuffle some things or whatever, and I'm like, this isn't gonna work. And I could feel it, it's gonna happen. And I had water, and so I would guzzle the water as soon as I'd feel like it was about to do something, and it would go away. You know, and so every time in my mind, this is what I visualize: this is like a growly monster in my stomach, like I'm going to growl, and then I'm like, he's like, oh, you know. So every time I felt like it was about to growl, I just gulped down some water, and I'm like, ah, I got it, you know, and then I'd do the work, and I kept doing it, and so it wasn't growling at all, you know, I was hiding it, and. There's one moment, I'm in there, and I didn't feel any sensation or anything, and the beeps start going, I'm about to say my line, and my stomach makes a growling noise. And not just any growling noise that I can explain away like, that's a growling noise from my stomach, sorry. No, instead it went like this. So, true story. It sounded like I tried to squeeze out a silent fart, but my butt cheeks were like, nope. And so I could feel like the director and the engineer like turned, and their eyes were like staring at me through the glass, and I'm like, oh my gosh, how am I going to explain that? And so I look and I see them like staring at me like that, and I'm like, that was my stomach. I don't, and she was like, and I was like, no, I mean, I've been fighting it off forever. It just got mad or something and made it sound like I squeezed out a fart. And she was like, oh. And I was like, come in here. No, come in. It smells, there's no fart in here. Smell. Come on in and smell. So, this is Mary Elizabeth, so I'm sure to this day, if she even remembers, yeah, she thinks I farted in the booth, but I didn't. I did not. Yes, another question? Any other? You want to hear another story? All right, let me see. Let's see, I told the quarter story, so you don't need that one. I can tell... that one's all right. Oh, I'll tell you this one. This one I kind of like telling. All right. I don't know if you guys remember a while ago when the gold dollar came out, right? Or came back or whatever, and it was like the gold dollar, you know, and it's like, I don't know. It seemed like a big deal. At least it was for me. And this one day, I was out and about running errands or whatever, and I got changed somewhere, and I got one of those gold dollars, and I had it in my pocket. I was like, awesome, I got one of those gold dollars I saw on the news. And so I was going to Subway to grab a bite to eat, and I parked my car, and I'm walking through this parking lot. And I see this homeless guy, and he's walking around, you know, asking people for money, and he's like limping like this. He's doing this kind of thing. Right? And he comes up to me, and I'm like, oh, he's gonna ask me for something. And I was like, hey, and he's like, he doesn't even say anything. He's like that, and I was like, okay. So I reached into my pocket, and I forgot all about like the gold dollar in my pocket. I just assumed I had like something. So I reached in there, and I'm like, and I realized, I'm like, wait a second, this is the gold dollar. It's like, and I didn't want to give it to him. You know? And I was like, oh. And so I don't know how long, it could have been like a whole minute I stood there staring at his hand, thinking about this, and I was like, ah, fine, whatever, it's a dollar, right? Even though it's gold, it's a dollar. So I pulled it out, and I was like, all right, here you go. This is that new gold dollar. And as I'm trying to explain, like, this is what they're talking about, and he's like, took it, put it in his pocket, and walked away, right? And I was like, ah, whatever, I'll get another one someday. And so I go into Subway, and I order my sandwich, and then I'm like, you know what, that was pretty good of me to get rid of something I was hanging on to, and he could really use it, you know, some poor homeless guy. So I get my sandwich, and I look out the glass window, expecting to pat myself on the back, good job, Johnny. You know, and I look and I see him in the parking lot, he's just gathering some more money from this other lady, and then as she walks away, he puts it in his pocket, stands up, goes like this, walks normal to a car, and sits into the driver's side. and out of the back, catty corner to him, hops out this other dude, and he starts limping and walking around asking for money, and I was like, you know, I was like, what? My gold dollar! He's not even homeless, he has a car? And so anyways, I grabbed my stuff, I paid for it, and I went out there and I just beelined it straight to his car, right? And as I got closer to the driver's side, I saw there was another dude here and a dude there, and that guy was approaching quickly, and I was like, I'm going to get into a fight. And I started thinking in my head, I'm like, all right, if this guy tries to open it, I'm going to kick it into him, he's going to try to get here, I'm starting to get into kung fu mode, right? And I get down, and then this guy just hops back in the car, and I'm like, oh, I thought he was going to come around and try to jump me, and I was like, I think they're scared. And so I amplified it, and so I got inside, and I was like, hey, remember me? And he's sitting in there like this, like, and I was like, yeah, the guy with the gold dollar. I gave it to you, and I want it back. And I'm like, give me my gold dollar. And then he's sitting down, right? And he's got like change in his pocket, I can see, because it's like that, right? He starts going like this. Just patting it, not even digging in, looking for it. He's just, no. Like, what? I was like, you're not even checking. I was like, what are you doing? Give me my gold dollar. And he's like, no. And then I see his ashtray, right? It's opened up and it's full of this change, just tons of change. And then I'm like, I want my gold dollar. And he's like, no. I was like, it might be in there. And he's like, starts patting the ashtray. No. I'm like, what? You're not even looking for it. And then finally I just got so frustrated that I reached into his car, grabbed as much change out of the ashtray as I could, stepped out, and I kicked his door and I was like, get the hell out of here. And he drove off. And I put all that change in my pocket. It's like $5 worth of change. I made money on that exchange, actually. True story. Anyways, so now I do have a few homeless people stories.
Was the gold dollar in there?
No, it was not. The gold dollar was not in there, unfortunately.
Have you ever gotten one since?
Have I gotten one since? Yeah, usually after I tell that story, one finds its way to me. Yeah, so anyways, that's a true story. Just like my other quarter story. Homeless people should really stay away from me. I think. You guys want to hear another homeless person story though? This one's not as good, it's just another story. Anyways, so I was working on this voiceover, and I can't remember what it was, but I had to do this. I went to McDonald's, and I got like, it was like a fish meal or something. I don't know why, I was just like, a fish meal. I'd never eat a fish sandwich thing, but I was like, I'll take that. And so, because I was starved, I guess. And anyways, I got a meal, and I sat down at my table, and I was doing an interview on the phone with the band, and so it was this interview, so my food was waiting and I had to eat. I only had a limited amount of time before I had to get back into the studio. So I finished up this interview and I started scarfing down my fries, just because, you know, the fries are the first ones to go, right? So you gotta eat those first, because as soon as they get cold, it's like you might as well throw them away. So I started eating them and I'm like, and then this homeless guy comes up to me and he's like, hey, and I'm like in mid-bite, like no joke, I'm like this, and he's like, hey, if you're not gonna eat those fries, I'll take them. And I was like, I know, I'm gonna eat them. I'm gonna eat my fries. And I kept eating them, and he's like he didn't even hear me, he's like, and he sat down, and was just like staring at me, right? And it was so awkward. And so I'm like eating my fries, I'm like, so I started, I finished up my food, I'm like, forget this guy. And so I ate my sandwich, right, and I finished everything, and I pick up my tray, and I'm about to leave it. And as I stand up like that, me standing up, he timed it out perfectly. He stood up just like this. As I was standing up, he was like that with like a hopeful smile or something. And then I was like, no, I ate my fries, I was serious. I bought them, I wanted to eat them. So I ate them, because I was hungry. And he's like, sat back down, I was like, oh, and I felt bad, you know, I was like, you know what, I'll buy you some fries. You want fries? Come on, I'll go buy you some fries. He's like, all right, hey, can you buy me a drink instead? And I was like, you want a drink instead of fries? I was like, all right, sure, I'll get you a drink. And so I go up to the register, and I think in my head, I'm like, you know what? I don't know how homeless this guy is, but maybe I should supersize it, because he's gonna go out there living in the world, in the street, and not have anything to drink. And so anyways, I was like, instead of just getting him a drink, I'm gonna get a supersize. So I ordered, can you get me a supersized drink? And the lady passes over this giant cup, and I take it, and I give it to him, and I start to pay, and he's like, you call this a supersize? And I was like, are you serious? It's free! I was like, take it and go before I take it back. And then I paid for it. I was like, I can't believe this. Anyways, that's it. That's all that story. He walked away. So, I don't like homeless people.
Me?
All right, I'm gonna tell you the quarter story, because it seems like I might as well, right? So many stories. You know what? I have so many stories of homeless people that I needed to have one join the band. Polo, please stand up so everybody can see. Polo, I found Polo in Idaho. He was walking around in Idaho, homeless. And so, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. All right. I just want to introduce you to my lead guitarist and bandmate, Polo. He's not really homeless. He does have a home. Don't worry about it. You don't have to defend yourself. You have a homeless story? All right, you tell me.
Okay, maybe 5-6 years ago, I went to the, you know, like a, how can I call it, like a sushi restaurant that's on the belt?
Oh, yeah.
Like a cycle thing. So it's a box seat, and then me and then my friend, she and her boyfriend, you know, they're like in front of me. I was by myself, and just eating the sushi, right? And then one homeless guy he came into the restaurant, and he just sat down next to me, right? And then he's just sitting here next to me, and then that's like people like just look at us, and just, you know, security guy came to the table. He's like, hey, are you homeless too? Just point at me. No. That's it.
So they wanted to kick the homeless people out? All right, good one. All right, the quarter story. If you heard it, please just bear with it, and I'll get through it as fast as I can. All right, so it's a true story. When I drive down to go to work, I take the freeway, and when I come back home, I have to exit the off-ramp, and there's a light down at the end of the off-ramp, and I make a left to go under the overpass, and then I head on home. And and usually at this time, like always on that corner, there's always like just some homeless guy standing on the corner asking for money, right? And I'd never given money to a guy while in my car at a corner, because it just feels kind of weird to me. I don't know, like I feel like they can jack me and I can't get out, basically. You know, I feel like I'm in my seatbelt and whatnot, right? Anyway, so I just ignore them. And so this one day, I exit the freeway, and you know, it's a red light, and there's like 4 or 5 cars in front of me, so a good distance, you know, probably from me to the middle of the room, 4 or 5 cars away. It's a red light, and I pull up behind him, and then this monster truck pulls up behind me, and all I can see in my rearview mirror really is just like, I can barely see the windshield, and it's kind of tinted, but I can see tires, you know, and I can feel the actual vibration of the monster truck, just like that, and I actually think in my head, and I say this all the time, like Monster Madness, like that just starts playing in my head, and I'm thinking, you know, and it's gonna run us all over, and I'm just kind of freaking out and thinking in my head, man, as soon as this turns green, you guys better go, because I'm gonna go, and I have these carrots left over from lunch that I'm like scarfing down, right, just trying to eat them all up, and I look over expecting to see the homeless guy standing on the corner, and I see a homeless woman there, and my heart went out to her. I don't see too many homeless women, you know, and I thought, man, that could be my mom, you know, and so I felt bad, and I felt like I should do something. And in LA, you have to pay for parking everywhere, so my cup holders are just full of quarters. And so I just finished these carrots from the Ziploc bag, and I was like, you know what, I can put all these quarters in this Ziploc bag and give them to her. So I scoop them all up, and I put it in the Ziploc bag, and I'm like, dude, this is heavy. it's like 2 or 3 pounds worth of quarters. And I'm like, this is pretty cool. She's gonna go change her life, you know? And so I roll down the window and I put my hand out like this. And like I said, she's like from me to the middle of the room, right? And I put my hand out the window because I had never done this before. Put my hand out and she has her sign and she sees me and she smiles and puts the sign down and she goes like this. And I'm like, what? It's like, aren't you supposed to come get it? And I was like, I don't want to get out of the car. And I'm like, I don't understand this. And I'm in mid like confusion when the light turns green and these cars in front of me, they must have felt the vibration from the monster truck too, because they took off. And so I start going, right? And as I'm going, I look down, I'm like, holy cow, I'm going 20, 30 miles an hour. How is this exchange gonna happen now? I don't know what I'm gonna do, you know? And I start freaking out, thinking like, what if she hangs on to it too long and I pull her under my car, or I hang on to it too long and she pulls me out, or I die, you know? So I start freaking out, and I don't know what to do. And then, for some reason, I thought, wait a second, Johnny, you're a martial artist. Just focus. And so I did. I was like, you're right. 2 or 3 pounds worth of quarters, 20 to 30 miles an hour. All I have to do is go like this. And I watch it gracefully land into her hands. I just need to time it. And so as I'm going, I'm approaching her, and I'm like, ready? And now. And I say this all the time as well. But I think, if you've ever been in a tragedy, you know this feeling. Time slows down, right? So I release, and I think God was like, wait, whoa, 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 whoa. Hit slow motion. It was like, Jesus, Moses, come on, bring some disciples. Let's get nachos and Cheetos or whatever else you got, because this is going to be good. We got to watch this in slow motion. And we'll play this back when he's dead, because this is good. This is a highlight of his life. And so, there I am. 2 or 3 pound bag of quarters going 20, 30 miles an hour, and I've released. And I watched this 2 or 3 pound bag of quarters fly through the air. It was beautiful. 20 or 30 miles an hour, this heavy bag of quarters flies through the air and smacks her in the face. The bag rips open and the quarters go falling, glistening in the sunlight. Everywhere, quarters everywhere. She goes down, she's like, you know? It's like, you know, on an NFL playback when it's like some slow motion, the guy gets hit. Like that, right? She's going down, and I'm passing her, and the only reaction I have was this. No! And I'm going so fast that I have to screech around the corner like, and then there's nowhere for me. I was like, can I turn around? Can I go check and see if she's alive? There's nowhere for me to turn around, and I just keep going, and I'm like, I hug the wheel. I'm like, I feel so dirty. I tried to do something nice. So anyways, I had nowhere to turn. I just kept going home. And the next day, it was the only thing on my mind for like the next 2 weeks. And every day, I would come back and check to see if she was there. And this is a true story. Before that day, there's always been a homeless guy there. But after that day, never again. There's never been a homeless person there on that corner. And I've gone by every single day thinking like, where is she? What happened to her? Did she die? Do I need to plant a white cross? I have no idea what happened. And in my head, I do tell this all the time as well, I visualize this image of like a homeless guy standing by a barrel fire under a bridge, and his friend approaches, hey Bob, how's it going? Hey, what's up? Hey, where's Sally? Oh, you didn't hear? She's dead. Some guy killed her with quarters. So anyways, that's my quarter story, the slightly faster version of it. So if there's a lesson to be learned, don't give homeless people money while driving your car. Or offer to buy them French fries. Or a gold dollar. Or when you're jogging, maybe you should change the lens. No. Actually, I'm glad nothing actually happened when I was jogging, because that would have been weird. But a great story for later. Yes?